Self-ligating brackets, like ordinary fixed appliances, a self-ligating bracket consists of a bracket base and a body containing slots and tie wings. The difference between conventional and self-ligating brackets lies in the way in which the archwire is engaged in the slot. In self-ligation, the bracket itself contains a clip or other mechanism which is used instead of either elastic or metal ligatures. Just like conventional brackets, self-ligating brackets really only serve one function. They are the junction between the element generating the force or wire or auxiliary and the tooth, so that they are simply a means to an end. The use of self-ligating brackets has given rise to a number of treatment philosophies which are believed to offer significant advantages over ordinary ligation. However, it is important to remember that the tooth is not aware of how the force is being applied to it, whether it is by self-ligation or ordinary ligation. The body of the bracket consists of the tie wings and the bracket slot, but in the case of self-ligating brackets, it also houses the ligation mechanism. It is therefore challenging to keep the overall size of a self-ligating bracket small but strong enough to withstand everyday stress without distorting. Depending on the manufacturer's preferences, bracket frames can either be produced in one piece or can be assembled from various parts using laser welding or soldering. The latter technique, assembling bracket bodies from a number of components, can lead to spontaneous disassembly during treatment, and there is an increased tendency for corrosion to develop between the parts. There may also be a tendency for plaque to accumulate on the adjoining structures. Self-ligating bracket bodies can be classified into either a tie wing design or a block design. The former is the classic twin design, and with self-ligation it is accompanied by a locking mechanism. The four tie wing allow additional modules such as elastic chains to be attached over the archwire if needed. Brackets in the block design group do not allow additional elements to be attached over the archwire, and the body is simply used as the retention mechanism for the self-ligating complex. However, it is still possible with this design to use elastic thread or chain by placing it under the archwire, which in turn will hold the auxiliaries in place. The advantage of this approach is that attaching and removing the auxiliaries is relatively clumsy, as it requires removal of the wire at each appointment. As in conventional brackets, the bracket slot is of most importance in the self-ligating bracket, especially with the straight wire using a pre-adjusted appliance. By appropriately deflecting the archwire, the slot translates the three-dimensional information from the bracket prescription onto the tooth. The first order information, inset, outset, rotation. The second order information is angulation, and third order information is torque. The size of the slot depends on the technique used. It can be either 0.018 or 0.022 inches high and is always 0.028 inches deep. However, the manufacturing process is never absolutely precise, and variations from this normal value do occur. Some brackets have additional slots to the main archwire slot, known as auxiliary slots. For these slots to be useful, they should be of minimum dimensions such as 16 by 16 for quick speed and innovation R, or 18 by 18 for opal brackets. The additional slots allow the use of a second force system, which can be useful if the main slot is already engaged. An additional slot is particularly useful for the rotation of severely rotated teeth. A very thin flexible wire can be used for this. alignment of ectopic or severely displaced teeth using piggyback archwire, avoidance of reactive forces during segmental techniques when using auxiliary springs. With normal ligation techniques, either elastometric or metal ligatures engage the archwire in the bracket slot. In self-ligation, this is achieved by the locking mechanism. A number of variations are available. Some slide in a vertical direction, and these locking mechanisms can be either rigid, like the Damon, or flexible, like in Innovation, Quick, and other types of brackets, or active or passive. None of these ligation methods is superior in every respect, and there are a number of advantages and disadvantages that relate to functionality and the individual clinical situation.